These are 10 of the strangest, most bizarre items travelers have attempted to bring through airport security checkpoints around the world. From live animals hidden in pants to human remains wrapped in foil, the things security officers have uncovered will make you question how anyone thought they could get away with it. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why airport screening exists and what happens when travelers push the limits of what they think they can sneak past security. In 2024 alone, the Transportation Security Administration intercepted over 6,600 firearms at airport checkpoints across the United States. 94% of those firearms were loaded. That number represents roughly 18 guns discovered every single day at airports nationwide. But firearms are just the beginning. What security officers find in carry-on bags, checked luggage, and straps to the bodies of travelers goes far beyond weapons. Some discoveries are dangerous, some are illegal, and some are so strange they've become legends within the security community. Starting at number 10 on this list is something most travelers overlook because it seems harmless. Peanut butter. Yes, peanut butter. At Asheville Regional Airport in North Carolina, TSA officers discovered a jar of Jif peanut butter during routine screening, and something was immediately suspicious. When they opened the jar, they found marijuana packed inside the creamy spread. What many travelers do not realize is that the TSA classifies peanut butter as a liquid because of its consistency. That means it is subject to the 3.4-ounce rule, just like shampoo, hand sanitizer, or toothpaste. Bringing an oversized jar of peanut butter through security is already going to trigger a secondary screening. Stuffing it with drugs only guarantees a much longer conversation with law enforcement. The irony here is that the peanut butter itself would have been flagged even if there were nothing illegal inside. The lesson is simple. If you are going to break federal law, do not also violate the most basic carry-on restriction that every traveler knows. Number 9 on the list involves creativity that backfired spectacularly. At Newark Liberty International Airport in 2024, TSA officers discovered a fully disassembled 9mm firearm hidden inside a man's luggage. The gun frame had been jammed into the bottom of a combat boot, with a sock stuffed behind it to conceal the outline on the X-ray machine. The slide, spring, and a magazine loaded with 12 bullets were mixed among plastic pieces inside a Black Panther Lego set. The gun parts were scattered across different items in the same bag, an obvious attempt to trick the X-ray operators. It did not work. Officers identified the firearm immediately. The man was arrested by Porto Authority police and faced federal civil penalties of up to $15,000. He also lost his TSA pre-check eligibility for at least 5 years, and this is where it becomes expensive. Beyond fines, travelers caught with firearms at checkpoints often face state criminal charges depending on local law. What some people forget is that even if you have a concealed carry permit, that permit does not grant access to the secure area of an airport or the cabin of a commercial aircraft. The only legal way to fly with a firearm is to declare it, ensure it is unloaded, pack it in a hard-sided locked case, and check it with your airline. Number 8 introduces one of the most common themes in bizarre airport discoveries: live animals. At Miami International Airport in 2024, security pulled a passenger aside after noticing suspicious bulges in his pants during the body scan. When officers conducted a pat-down, they found the camouflage bag tucked against his body, containing 2 small pink snakes. The animals were confiscated and turned over to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. What many travelers do not realize is that TSA rules on animals are relatively silent. The agency does not maintain a strict list of species allowed through checkpoints. Instead, the focus is on security threats. But airlines and airports have their own policies, and attempting to smuggle live reptiles in your clothing will absolutely trigger a response. This was not an isolated incident. In separate cases, TSA officers at Tampa International Airport found a 4-foot boa constrictor coiled inside a carry-on bag among shoes and toiletries. At Newark Liberty, a man was caught with a live turtle stuffed inside his pants, wrapped in a small blue towel. And at Miami International, officers discovered 2 more turtles hidden inside a woman's bra. Wildlife smuggling through airports has become a global enforcement priority. In one Interpol operation, authorities seized nearly 20,000 live animals worldwide, including big cats, primates, reptiles, and endangered birds. Number 7 takes the animal smuggling theme even further. At Los Angeles International Airport in 2002, a California man returning from Thailand was stopped during customs inspection. Officers opened his suitcase and found 4 exotic birds, all listed as endangered species, along with 50 rare orchids. But that was not all. When asked if he was hiding anything else, the man reached into his pants and produced 2 endangered pygmy monkeys, called slow lorises, that had been pressed against his body for the entire flight. The man was arrested and the animals were placed in quarantine. Cases like this highlight a darker side of wildlife trafficking. Rare animals can sell for tens of thousands of dollars on the black market, and smugglers are willing to take extreme risks. At Bangkok's Savanabhumi Airport, a woman bound for Iran was caught with a drugged 3-month-old tiger cub hidden among stuffed tiger toys in her checked luggage. The X-ray operator noticed that one of the toys had a skeleton inside. The cub was dehydrated and barely alive but survived. In Mexico City, airport security found 18 endangered titty monkeys stuffed inside socks and strapped to a man's torso beneath his shirt. Each tiny primate had been crammed into a sock and concealed in a girdle. The man had been behaving nervously, which prompted officers to conduct a closer inspection. Number 6 involves one of the most elaborate concealment attempts TSA has ever documented. At Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport, officers discovered what appeared to be an ordinary energy drink container inside a passenger's carry-on bag. When they examined it more closely, they found it had been hollowed out and modified to conceal 2 knives and a torchlighter. This type of artful concealment is what separates accidental violations from intentional smuggling. Security officers trained specifically to identify containers, compartments, and everyday objects that have been altered to hide prohibited items. At Baltimore Washington International Airport, officers found a flashlight that turned out to be a stun gun designed to look completely harmless. At another checkpoint, a blade was concealed inside a belt buckle, prompting an immediate police response. And at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, methamphetamine was discovered hidden inside a bag of Epsom salt. The creativity of smugglers is matched only by the vigilance of the officers trained to catch them. Items that look like cologne bottles but are actually grenades, electronics modified to conceal blades, and everyday toiletries repurposed for drug transport are all part of the daily reality at major airport checkpoints. Number 5 involves replica weapons, and this is where most travelers get caught off guard. At Boise Airport in Idaho in 2025, TSA agents discovered what they initially believed was a pipe bomb inside checked luggage. The device had replica wires, fake C4 explosives, and a detonator attached. Officers treated it as a real threat until they could confirm it was a training aid. The passenger claimed the device was for professional use, but that explanation did not prevent significant delays and a potential criminal referral. TSA rules are clear on this point. Even if an explosive device is inert, fake, or designed for training purposes, it is still prohibited. If it looks like a bomb, it will be treated like a bomb. The same applies to replica firearms, novelty grenades, and any item designed to resemble a weapon. At Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, officers discovered a 4.5-inch knife concealed inside the shell of a laptop. The device had been modified specifically to hide the blade, which made it an intentional smuggling attempt. Incidents like this carry fines ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and the circumstances. Number 4 moves into territory that defies all logic. At Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport in 2013, 2 American tourists returning from Cuba had their checked luggage flagged during screening. Officers opened the bags and found sealed clay pots purchased as souvenirs. Inside the pots were fragments of human skull, teeth, and dirt. The passengers claimed they had no idea the pots contained human remains. They said they purchased the items from a religious shop and were told the pots would ward off evil spirits. After questioning, investigators concluded the travelers genuinely did not know what was inside and they were allowed to continue their journey. But the checkpoint became a crime scene for several hours while officials processed the discovery. In September 2025, another passenger at Tampa International Airport was stopped after declaring only 10 cigars but behaving suspiciously. Officers opened his luggage and found prohibited plants along with what appeared to be part of a human skull and several bones, all wrapped in crumpled foil. The man claimed the items were intended for rituals. Customs and Border Protection emphasized that traveling with human remains requires strict federal compliance, including death certificates and proper containment. The bones were seized and destroyed due to health risks. Number 3 involves the kind of audacity that borders on absurd. At Liverpool John Lennon Airport in 2010, a woman and her adult daughter attempted to board a flight to Berlin with a recently deceased 91-year-old man. The man had died shortly before the trip, But rather than notify authorities or pay for proper transport of the remains, the women placed his body in a wheelchair, covered his eyes with sunglasses, and attempted to wheel him through security. Airport staff became suspicious when the man did not respond to questions and did not move at all during the screening process. Upon closer inspection, they confirmed he was dead. The women were arrested and later claimed they thought he was just asleep. Transporting human remains by air is legal, but it requires documentation, proper caskets or containers, and coordination with the airline. Attempting to disguise a corpse as a sleeping passenger is not only illegal, but deeply disturbing to everyone involved. This was not the only case. Similar attempts have been documented at airports around the world, all involving passengers hoping to avoid the expense of legitimate transport. Number 2 on this list involves an item so dangerous that its presence at an airport caused an evacuation. At Fort Lauderdale International Airport in 2012, a diver returning from a vacation tried to check a bag containing an antique cannonball he had recovered from a shipwreck. What most people do not know is that cannonballs from the 18th and 19th centuries can retain explosive material for decades. Under certain conditions, they can detonate without warning. When the cannonball was flagged during screening, airport officials evacuated over 290 passengers and shut down part of the terminal. Bomb disposal teams were called in to assess the device. The diver claimed he had no idea the artifact was dangerous. He thought it would make an interesting souvenir. The delay lasted several hours and affected multiple flights. This case serves as a reminder that even items purchased legally or discovered during recreational activities can pose serious threats. Unexploded ordnance, military memorabilia, and historical weapons are prohibited in both carry-on and checked baggage. Number 1 on this list is the incident that shocked even the most seasoned security officers. At Washington's Spokane International Airport in 2025, a traveler attempted to fly with more than a dozen inert rocket-propelled grenades in checked baggage. 14 RPGs in total. The projectiles were not live, but they were realistic enough to cause immediate alarm. TSA shut down operations while bomb technicians inspected each device. In a statement, the agency said, even fake or inert weapons like these can cause very real delays, and emphasized that realistic replicas of military weapons have no place in airline baggage. The traveler's explanation was not disclosed, but the incident triggered a criminal referral and substantial civil penalties. This case illustrates a broader pattern. Every year, travelers attempt to bring military equipment, explosives training aids, historical ordnance, and realistic weapon replicas through airport security. Most claim ignorance. Many face fines exceeding $10,000. Some face criminal prosecution. What all of these cases reveal is a fundamental misunderstanding of how airport security works. X-ray machines, body scanners, and trained officers are designed to catch exactly these types of items. Whether you are hiding a knife in a laptop, a snake in your pants, or human bones in your luggage, security officers have seen it before and they will find it. The consequences range from confiscation and embarrassment to arrest and federal prosecution. In 2024, TSA collected $23 million in fines from travelers who brought firearms to airport checkpoints. Civil penalties for prohibited items can reach $17,000 per violation. And beyond the financial cost, violations can result in lost travel privileges, revoked pre-check status, and criminal records that follow you for life. If you found this breakdown of bizarre airport discoveries valuable, consider subscribing to help us reach 50,000 subscribers. Every new subscriber helps us bring you more content on the rules, regulations, and strange realities of modern travel. Drop a comment below and let us know which discovery surprised you the most, or share your own airport security story. Have you ever had an item confiscated? What country had the strictest security you have ever experienced? We read every comment and appreciate your engagement. Until next time, travel smart, pack carefully, and remember that security officers have seen everything. They are watching, and they will find what you are hiding.